Alright, there's a video for 2HT about exercise 50 and 52 for the revision of chapter 4. And chapter 4 was about the Pythagorean theorem, so hopefully you still know it. Otherwise, pay attention to this video. It says the house shown on the right has a kinked roof. So that means this part. You see that this line goes like that, and then there's a small kink here, because after that the slope is different. So that's a kinked side of the roof. It doesn't really matter, that word. The figures give the dimension of the facade of the house. That's the front view of the house. We see all these dimensions here. But one thing is missing is the height of the house. We need to calculate what this is. And we need to round it off to 2 decimal places. Now, if you want to use the Pythagorean theorem, you must have a triangle with a right angle in it. And in here, unfortunately, there are no such triangles. So I first have to make an extra line here, right? Because then we have a little triangle there. And we're also going to make an extra line over here, because then we have a little triangle there. You can also make an extra line over here. And then you have a little triangle over there. But the last one, well, actually we're not going to use that, because we don't know, we know one length, this is 2.5, but we don't know the other ones. You should always know 2 lengths, because then you can calculate the third one. If you take a look at this small triangle over here, we know that this is 1.8 meters, and we know that this is 1.5 meters, so then you can use that to calculate this length. So what we're going to do is first we're going to calculate what that length is. So I'm going to write that down over here. So we have to do the square root of 1.8 squared minus 1.5 squared. And I'll tell you why. If you want to calculate the small side of a triangle, you always do minus. And if you want to calculate the big side of a triangle, you always do plus. So for example, if we knew this one and that one, we would have done this one squared plus that one squared to get that one squared. But now it's minus. So let's see what this will be. Here we have a calculator, so you do a square root and then 1.8 squared minus 1.5 squared. And then we get this number, 0.995. So I'm going to write that down, 0.995. I mean, in the end, we have to round off to 2 decimal places. So before the end, I'm going to leave an additional decimal place there, so we can use that, and then our final answer will be, better. Here we have another triangle. This length is 3, this length is 2, and we want to know that length. So we're going to do the same thing here, but then with different numbers. So now we do 3 squared minus 2 squared. We type that into a square root, and then let's see what will happen. So we do the square root. For the people wondering where the button was, there was this button, square root. And then 3 and squared is this button here. 3 squared minus 2 squared, and then it will say square root of 5, and then we can press this button over here, and then it will tell us what it is. It's 2.336. So this is that length. And then we want to calculate the height of the house. So what we need to do is we need to add this length, so 2.236, and we need to add this length to it, so plus 0.995, and we need to add this length to it. Because if you add those 3 lengths, then you have the total height of the roof. So this is the the height of the roof of the house, really. So this is the height of the house. And then if you calculate that, you get 4.93 if you round it off according to the answer book. So just trust that's okay. And then meters. Oh, sorry, it was outside of the screen. Here you can see the answer, and hopefully everybody knows how to do that then. The next question, question 52, is also kind of difficult, because this is about the narrow street that we have here, right? And then here we have a ladder, and this is the same ladder. So at some point the ladder is going to flip over from this side to the other side. We know that this is 3.5, we know that this is 7.5, and we know that the alley, or the street, is 6.5 meters wide. So if this is 3.5, then that means that this length is 3, because together it's 3.5. So the first question says, calculate the length of the ladder in meters. So we need to calculate this length. Well, this length is the hypotenuse. The hypotenuse means it's the longest side of a triangle. If it's the longest side of a triangle, you always add this number and that number. So you add the small sides, but you square them and put them in a square root. So here's how to calculate AC. This is A, this is C, and we're going to calculate AC. So we do the square root of this one, 3.5 squared, plus that one, that's 7.5 squared. Now if you calculate that, then let me see, this is 8.276. So that's the length of the ladder. So if you move the ladder over here, the length of the ladder stays the same. Right, now we're going to read question B, because this was question A. Question B says, the window cleaner rests his ladder against the other wall, so the ladder flips over to that side. At what height is the ladder resting against the wall in point E? Give your answer in meters, round off to 2 decimal places. Well, point E is a little bit higher than point C. It's not very clear in the picture, but it is a little bit higher. So it will be 7 point and then more than 5. If you want to calculate it, we know the hypotenuse. We know that this is 2.276, and we know that this is 3. And using those two lengths, we can calculate what this length is. Well, that length is DE. So if you want to calculate DE, you do the square root of 8.276 squared minus 3 squared. And then if you type that into your calculator, then you will have the answer. Let's see if I can find the answer book the answer in the answer book, which I can. It's this number. But it says round off to 2 decimal places, so it's 7.71 meters, and this one is 8.28 meters if you round it off to 2 decimal places. So these are the answers for exercise 52. Hopefully it was clear to everyone. If not, you can ask me a question, or you can look at the video for 2HB, because I also have the same questions. There's a different number though, but the same questions, and then I explain it in Dutch. Maybe that will help anyone interested. So thank you for watching. Bye bye.